chilling with the unique funeral customs in Vietnam. Skull deformation, corpse exposure, burying a child alive with the mother, these are just a small part of the countless traditional customs of the ethnic communities in Vietnam. Mother died, child buried alive. The tradition of deformation is practiced by the Bana and Girai ethnic groups in the Central Highlands of Vietnam. According to this custom, if a mother unfortunately dies during childbirth, the newborn baby must also die. Even infants who are still breastfeeding and whose mothers pass away are either buried alive together or abandoned in the forest. The people in these areas acknowledge that deformation is a real practice, not just a rumor. However, nobody knows when this custom originated. It has been passed down through generations, so even if the family doesn't want to follow it, the pressure from the community makes the father and relatives unable to protect the child. Elderly people who have witnessed the deformation custom explain that the reason behind this tradition is the challenging and harsh life in the mountains and forests in the past. If the mother dies, the child won't receive breast milk and will eventually die of starvation. They believe that by burying the baby with the mother, they will be better taken care of in the afterlife. However, there is now a growing awareness among some people that this practice is wrong. They have been fighting to eliminate this custom and save the children from unjust death. Skull deformation of the deceased. In Minh Thuan, the Cham Balamon community has a custom called OS, skull deformation, where they turn the skulls of the deceased into small coins embedded in stones, representing eternal life and immortality. The custom also stipulates that deceased individuals under the age of 15 should only be buried and not cremated. For individuals aged 15 and above, the Cham people classify them into two categories: those who die naturally, due to illness or old age, will be cremated, while those who die unnaturally, due to car accidents, animal attacks, death on the last day of the lunar month, or the first day of the lunar month, will be cremated after their bodies are completely burned. Approximately half an hour after the fire completely consumes the remains, a shaman, accompanied by the eldest child of the deceased, uses a chopper to sever the head and extract the skull. Skillful individuals will then carve the skull into 9 fragments for females or 7 fragments for males, each resembling a coin, which are then kept in a box for worship. After a period of 5 to 10 years, or when 15 to 20 years have passed, a ceremony called cut is conducted within the maternal lineage. Cut is a communal ancestral worship place for the family clan. Every Cham individual, from birth to death, carries the belief that they must return to rest in peace on the land of their maternal ancestors, partake in the cut ceremony, and undergo the cycle of rebirth with their ancestral lineage. After hundreds of years, the Cham Balamon people in Minh Thuan still uphold these ancient customs as a way to show respect to the deceased. To make the rituals more gentle, nowadays, only a single piece of the frontal bone is chosen from the deceased's skull and transformed into a single coin, while all other skeletal remains are cremated. They believe that the fire only burns the physical body, while the soul remains, and by undergoing cut, they will become immortal. Obsessive and vulgar ritual of Ma Trung. In the villages of Xien Tien Thng and Xien Tien H, Vinh Xien Commune, Puvang District, Tha Tien Hu Province, the local people have preserved the horrifying tradition known as the Ma Trung ritual for generations. According to this ritual, when unfortunate circumstances lead to the death of a family member coinciding with the sudden illness of a loved one, the descendants of the afflicted family will prepare gasoline and shovels to dig up the grave of the deceased and perform a ritual to appease their spirit. The deceased can only rest in peace and the living can no longer blame the departed once 49 days have passed or after 1 year. This backward belief has significant repercussions, affecting the practice of civilized and cultural living among the people. The constant vigilance over graves causes great worry and unrest among the relatives of the deceased. In recent years, the local authorities of Vingxian Commune, specifically, and Tianhu province as a whole, have actively made efforts to change the people's perception. Leaving the dead body exposed for several days before burial. According to the customs of the Hmong people in Hajong and Mng Lat, Ton Hoa, when someone passes away, the family does not immediately place the body in a coffin but allows it to remain outside for 5 to 7 days. The family continues their daily activities, providing meals and water for the deceased. After several days, the food ferments, and even flies gather around the darkened face of the deceased, yet the family continues to offer meals. Furthermore, every day, the living carry the dead body out to the yard, placing it face up on a prepared board so that the deceased can gaze at the sun. Regardless of heavy rain or scorching sun, the body can only be carried inside the house after the sun rises. The number of days the body remains exposed depends on the number of children the deceased had. Some may choose 1 or 2 days, while others may opt for several weeks, including removing limbs, head, and hair. Regardless, they must perform the ritual on the designated day according to the custom. Recently, the Hmong people no longer expose the dead body for several weeks as they used to, but the tradition is still maintained. Based on the number of children or grandchildren, the living expose the deceased body for 1 to 3 days before proceeding with burial. Give birth to twins, kill one. The Jairai people in Jia Lai hold the belief that only women who are possessed or punished by the heavens will give birth to twins. If, unfortunately, they give birth to triplets, it is considered a truly horrifying and terrifying event for the people in the village. If the child is allowed to live, it is believed to bring calamity. To eliminate this disaster, relatives and villagers will come together to take the baby into the forest and bury it alive so that the spirit cannot find its way back, and also as a form of atonement to the divine. Consequently, for hundreds of years, countless newborns have been deprived of the right to live immediately after birth. However, this ritual was abolished over a decade ago thanks to the efforts of the elder H. Blam, now over 70 years old. When a family intended to carry out this ritual, Elder H. Blam firmly intervened, persuading hundreds of people who had planned to bury the baby alive to abandon their wrongful actions. After the discussion, the villagers agreed to let the baby live. Since then, this tradition has gradually faded away.